and welcome to Frisella's All Around the Yard. I am your host, Tony Frisella. Today, it's a pleasure to be with you again. I know I don't get to do this as frequent as I was doing it when we started, but it's glad to be here. And today, I have with me Taylor Belmore from STL Real Estate. Taylor, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for making the time and coming out. You said you drove 45 minutes
I did.
to get here.
Yeah. I'm excited, though. Thanks for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. From my old neck of the woods, actually, I used to live out where you live now. And so when I lived there, it was an enjoyable place, part of the town. And we brought you on because there is this relationship between real estate and landscaping.
For sure.
Obviously. I mean, people have grass, people have lawns, people have plant landscaping, and curb appeal is a big part of selling a home.
Absolutely.
So Taylor, when you get the question about curb appeal, what does curb appeal first mean to you?
Curb appeal is your home's first impression. It's what people see when they see your house for the first time. And as we all know, you don't forget a first impression. So it's really important. A good friend of mine says curb appeal is the way your home says hello. And when she first told me that, I loved it. It's so true.
So what I love about landscaping on our end is, we get to do some pretty crazy stuff with a lot of the clients that we work with. And just recently, we were looking at, I presented the concept about moving the driveway and doing something different with it. And they basically said that, I never even thought that was as an option. You think of a driveway, you think of it as permanent, it's done. But we looked at it, and he goes, but you really got me thinking, and I see the reasoning behind why we're moving it, why we're changing it, why we're doing it. And I said, and he goes, well, why do you want to do this? I said, because it sets the expectations for what's on the inside.
Absolutely. That's what I say. Yes.
And besides just being an awesome curb appeal, I said, look, in today's market, you don't need anything. Houses are selling fast, but you don't need anything really crazy over the top. But 5 years from now, if you're going to move, something like this is going to set that house apart from anything else that anybody's looking at.
Definitely.
And so these are the things that when we're looking at curb appeal is how do we, we're not thinking about our clients selling their homes. We're thinking about the experience that they're having.
I say that too. Yes.
So play off that then.
Okay.
So when a customer or when a client you meet with at a prospective home or showing, do you see a difference between the experience? It doesn't have to be just with the landscaping, but can you see literally, I call it more of energy, but let's just say, can you see a different experience between the homes, and what kind of things might trigger a different experience for a client, if that's clear enough to ask?
Totally, yeah. You can just see it in somebody's face. It's kind of like a yes or no right away most of the time, and they don't tell me right away, but I can see it. Mm-hmm. And if a home looks messy, and that's outside and inside, landscaping pertains here for sure. They're just not as excited to see the inside, and that's what you were just saying. It's like, what are we going to find in here? It's like leading into it. It's an experience, and it's exciting when you have a beautiful outside of your home and you're walking to the front door. It's like, what are we going to find in here? And if it's not so exciting on the outside, you're like already not a good start.
Well, and so I've looked at houses recently, and I had the same thing. I wasn't looking for a home for me, and you can just, the outside does very well reflect the inside in a lot of cases, and sometimes the inside's done up real nice, and the outside's like, wow, that if I was anybody else, I would never even gone and looked at the house. Mm-hmm. Like, there needs to be at least a little pop in the front of the home. Is there any features in the landscape in particular that you see maybe some of your clients gravitate to more than others? Maybe it's in the backyard, it might be a pergola, it might be a pool, or maybe landscape lighting, or maybe an irrigation system. Do any of those kind of things play a part in the purchase of a home over others?
Yeah, always. I think I wouldn't say any items in particular, maybe like a nice patio. Everybody wants that to gather outside. But if it looks neat and clean, no matter what you have out there, that's what's really important. Especially now that everybody's working from home. Mm-hmm. Your yard is even more important than it once was, because you're looking at your windows every day. You want to look at something pretty, and you want to have people over, and you want them to look at something pretty. That
what you said is almost a whole nother podcast in of itself.
I know,
everybody
really
working
is.
from home.
Yeah.
So Let's talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
So we recently had Jeff Day, an architect.
I saw that one.
Yeah. And we were talking about a lot of the different changes, things happening because people are working from home.
Yes.
Everything's from home. So, are you seeing any trends with what people are looking for now that COVID has everything going on the last 2 years has really pushed people into their homes? I mean, are they looking for more space? Are they looking for walls that be able to knock down? Are they looking to be able to expand on the house? Are they looking for a house that maybe not be the dream house, but at least has a big enough lot to do what they want to do with it, whether it's a pool? I mean, there's so many things that we're seeing so many things being done to properties that wow, people more now than ever want an experience out of the home.
100%.
So are they looking for that house that they can build into that? And have you had any experience with any clients that's what they were doing?
Absolutely. So people haven't been going out, as we know. You want to have people over, so how can we expand our space outside to have people out here? How can we utilize the space we've got? How can we make the most of this space? That's super important. And outdoor kitchens is one thing I'm seeing a lot of people do now. What else?
So with the outdoor kitchen, is there any because there's so many different ways to build an outdoor kitchen, so many different amenities you can have in an outdoor kitchen. Is there anything in particular? Is it just the kitchen in itself? And when people are thinking outdoor kitchen, they're thinking grill and a countertop space, or I mean, they've got the green eggs, they've got there's so much to it. I mean, or is it just hey, that's an awesome feature to have at the house as a bonus?
I don't think anything in particular. I think it's just a place to be able to cook outside and have your friends over.
Do a lot of people now that you're working with, I mean, so how does it differ between a family with kids or empty nesters, or maybe a couple that doesn't have kids yet that is looking to have kids? I mean, how does that play into the yard space or to yard amenities and those kinds of things?
Well, before COVID and the past 2 years, I would say a big yard was more important for families with kids for sure. Now it's important to everybody because, like I was saying, everybody's home. Mm-hmm. If you're not going to gather at a bar, you're going to have your friends over to your house. Mm-hmm. So you want a bigger space for all that. So I think it's just been really important the past 2 years.
So how many?
Everyone.
Have you had a lot of comments where it's well, we used to go out here, so now we just want to have everybody over
all the time.
And so did they say? Have you ever had any? So whenever we would go out and meet with a client about building a patio space, we'd always ask, how many people do you want to entertain on average? Is there any, do you want to compensate for any larger events that might be had? Because there's a lot of lifetime events that happen. There's graduations, there's birthdays, there's certain birthdays that you want to remember. And there's all kinds of things that happen. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, a lot of times they call us in April. They want this done by May, and you had 18 years to know that this day was coming. But regardless, do people say, well, yeah, we used to host this many people in our yard on average, but now it's just, now with everything going on, now we're hosting this many people.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, is it, maybe 10% of your clients that you work with? Or is it 50% of the clients you work with?
I think everybody I work with talks about the outdoor space and who they can have over. It's just everybody mentions it to me. So
when they're working with you on finding this ideal home, I don't want to say there's ever a perfect home because there's always something. Right. Once you move into any home,
new build.
Exactly. Yeah. There's something that's going on. So is there ever? Do you ever hear people talking about a vision or a dream that they have for the maybe it might not be just the outdoors itself, because I don't like to look at it just in inside outside. There's a mix to it all.
There is.
But if the kitchen's in the back of the house and the dining room and it's all connected, kind of think like an open floor plan, a lot of windows in the backyard. I mean, do people talk about tell you we want this beautiful view into a deep backyard because we want to build this space, this living space in the backyard to tie it all together? Is that something you hear?
Yes, all the time, especially the kitchen window. People who cook want to look out and see something pretty. And I think I don't know if I mentioned this already, it's become so much more important in the past 2 years because people are home all day now when they might have been home an hour of daylight before. They didn't notice how close they were to their neighbor or, what their yard really looks like. And so I'm seeing a lot more attention being paid to what their yard looks like overall, and it's really important.
I know our experience this year is, clients that, never used to, call, ask questions, this and that, are asking on just a whole nother level because they're home now.
Yeah.
Well, what is this? We've never noticed this before.
Right.
What is this? And how does this work? And we never knew that this did this.
Yeah.
And I mean, in most cases, it's a lot of fun. But, what about screening? So I know one thing this year that we've been hearing a lot about is we never realized how much we see our neighbor.
Exactly. Yes.
we want them to disappear. What can you do for us?
I hear that all the time. People are like, "Oh my God, I can see into their window," And so, privacy landscaping is becoming more of a thing. Fencing, of course, but privacy shrubbery. I'm hearing a lot about. My mom actually has it. It's beautiful. A big green bushes in place of a fence is really popular. And I have a client right now who was just telling me about doing that the other day.
And so, we're seeing an even bigger call. So emerald green arborvitaes are just, very calm. They're upright. Probably some of the things that you've been seeing, one of the plants you've been seeing. You trying to keep them in stock is ridiculous right now because they're just them, and then the green giants, and just it's crazy what people are asking for to screen neighbors now. Mm-hmm. It's unreal what we've been seeing. So that, for us, it's great, but at the same time, you're just seeing completely different culture shift now, and obviously in the United States, but in the world in general. But it's quite interesting how people's homes now are transforming, and it's not just landscaping; it's all the low volt stuff inside the house. It's the technology within the home, how to make things more convenient, to make things more cozy, and not to be so bland because they are there all day, every day. In a lot of cases, which kind of led to my point about asking about the trails and those kind of things, because people are going to want to get out of the house at some point in time, and do they want to walk down to the cul-de-sac, or do they actually want to walk into a forest?
Yeah,
those kind of things. Not saying there's a lot of forests to walk into for a lot of people, but there's a lot of cool stuff out there to think about when looking for that next home.
Yeah.
So, I guess the last thing I got for you is, do you have any comments that you might want to make about, just maybe buying a home in general, or maybe how, if somebody's selling their home, maybe a couple points that they might want to think about before they put their house on the market?
Okay, yeah. So, like I said earlier when you and I were talking, landscaping is like outdoor staging, okay? And I am such an advocate for staging inside. And if you're looking for a home, I'm sure those staged homes look beautiful. And I always have buyers want to write on the staged homes. And when your outside is staged, you might call it, your home's going to sell faster, I think, for sure. And there was a study done in, I think, 2020 by Realtor Magazine. Landscaping can increase the value of your home by 7 to 14%. And I actually think that's on the low side. I've heard 15 to 20, which I think is probably more accurate. So landscaping is not just something you pay for. It's an investment. You're going to make that money back plus some if you make it look nice.
One thing I like about landscaping, and this is something that a lot of people don't think about, is landscaping, in my opinion, if it's kept well, you got to maintain it, actually appreciates in value. Because, and think about it in this sense. If you come to our garden center and you have a 2-inch tree, a 3-inch tree, and a 4-inch tree, they're going to cost different amounts. Because time in the field, time to maintain them, time to grow them, keep them up. It raises the cost of the plant. And so as your landscape appreciates in value, I'm not saying you're going to resell the trees out of your yard, although I have seen that done. Yeah. I've seen that much more done recently now. And if you're going to tear down a home, well, think about this. This is actually kind of a cool little tangent. If you have somebody selling a home or is going to buy a tear down, and there's a mature landscape there, and you've got Japanese maples, you've got lacebark pine, you've got some of these kind of crazier...
Like fruit trees? Do people want to...
I don't know about fruit trees. You could, but it depends on the size.
Yeah.
But some of these more specimen, unique plants that, I've seen homes get torn down of plant collectors. And I'm like, I want in on the house. Yeah. Let me get in before you tear the house down. Now the season's got to be right. It's got to be in the winter. It's got to be winter time. The leaves got to be off the trees and all that kind of stuff. But if you can get in them when the time's right, you can find some gems.
I bet.
And then design an awesome landscape around those plants, especially if you bought the lot. I mean, you own the plants.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
something to think about. And most people don't think about that. And then, when you're speaking with clients, that might be something like, oh my gosh, yeah, we never thought about that before.
Yeah.
So anyways, so Taylor, where can people find you if they're interested in selling a home, buying a home?
Our phone number is 314-SELL-STL, so that's 314-735-5785. And our website is www.stl.realestate, and there's no .com or anything on there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having
me. It was
me.
a lot of fun. And ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget, we're here to help you be successful with your yards, your gardens. These kind of conversations, I think, just put a different perspective on what to think about when looking at your yard. And you can reach us at help@frisellanursery.com or podcast@frisellanursery.com, or call us 636-798-2555. Any questions you have about your plants, your yard, any questions about design, anything and all things to do with your yard and plants, we're here for you. We look forward to serving you. Please visit us. We'd love to talk to you. And until our next episode, we'll talk to you then.